whether it's a commercial business or whether it's a multifamily household. So large-scale commercial apartment complexes, we offer that. The trick with this one is because we are doing it, we can say it's great, we're doing it, but this particular one, if we choose to do so, which is basically what we're already doing, just has to be put into ordinance somehow in writing, and then that will help us fulfill that requirement for DEQ. Commercial recycling, we allow that as well. Right now, currently, quite a few commercial spots recycle, some larger than others. For us in Monmouth, Burgerville goes through roughly 6 of those reciprocals a week. We actually turn our truck around on Friday and grab them because they focus on that. There's several others in Independence. They tend to be a little bit more manageable, and we only have to get them about once every other week, and it works. And I think they utilize our recycling depot as well, which is helpful for us. Another one is a weight-based garbage collection rate. That one has it has to involve a large study, and then we'd have to talk about weighing them. That would have to be something that's put on the truck. I is an institutional and commercial food waste collection and composting. This one is a little bit more in depth than what it says. I'm going to get into food waste next. This would have to do with ordinance as well. Mandatory commercial recycling, that would be lean more a little bit heavier on the city. Mandatory would be what your requirement would be to separate material. And then K, which is one that I think the state is definitely pushing. That is what Kathy Rhodes with DEQ discussed with us, is a food waste collection for residential, which would be a great program. Everything's already in place. The few tricky things with that one, it becomes a little back and forth. Where we take our yard debris right now, we go to PRC, which is owned by Republic, right across from Coffin Butte. It's commercial only, and that's where we take our yard waste. I'm trying to get numbers back on if I can have food waste included. Talking with others in Salem, they currently do that. So I think it's a possibility. I've reached out to try to see if there's a rate increase for tipping fee for me or whatnot, but that would allow all food material for all customers that have curbside garbage or not, but ask for this service to allow all food waste to go in the yard debris bin.
All food waste, whether it's compostable or not?
All food waste, all food waste. The goal, I think, where I'm trying to get numbers is, I can't get too quick of responses from Republic at PRC, but one question we had is their rate for contamination is 1%. I don't know how that would affect our rate at that point, but I would assume we have a decent dense amount of yard debris now during the heavy months. Obviously in the winter time it's a little bit less. I don't think it affects us too much, and the only effect that I think it would have is, again, the tipping fee would increase a little bit, but from my side of things, the operational, the trucks, the drivers, that is all in place. And I know that is definitely something they're trying to push to keep away from the landfills right now. So that's one that we've discussed and chatted about as being one that maybe we'd urge council to think about and maybe have that be one of the choices. The final two, are again mandatory. It's more city-based. Mandatory recovery program for construction and demolition debris. That would be something from a city perspective that would involve all construction companies. I would fall under that guideline if I was the one hauling. But for an example, if a roofer or a construction company hauled their own waste, which happens a lot nowadays, it's all unregulated. It's not necessarily even regulated at the landfill, so that would all have to be regulated, and there'd be some type of prep on site that the city would have in place for that. And then, of course, we would follow if we were once there. And then the last would be mandatory commercial food waste collection program. Again, we offer this with the university. We offer food waste already with the university, and we offer it with Starbucks. I've reached out to other companies in the past. It was not something that they were necessarily super interested in. I don't know if they have another way that they've been doing it themselves. At the time, the rates were a bit higher for that to be done. It was self-separated. I had kept a truck by itself for that. So it's a little bit harder, maybe. I'm not sure. The outreach for commercial would be really interesting. So those are kind of the 13, basically what they call opportunity to recycle requirements. I don't know if we have some questions about that. I can go into more depth with a few of them. I just don't want to get too long-winded. Did it kind of make sense?
Let me ask a couple of questions first that may be helpful, then I know council has some. Could you talk about the timeline to make decisions here?
Well, I believe she had mentioned us trying to do this fairly quick. I think the hope, I don't know if it was June 30th, July 1, July 30th. I think they're willing to work with us. And like I said, we're already doing 7 of them, and we're only required to do 6. So it's just more a matter of being able to present to the city, let them know that we are doing those, we are fulfilling our DEQ requirements, but we may want to address it and get it discussed about and set in stone. Not all of them have to be ordinance-based, so it can just be something that this is what the community wants, and great. If the community doesn't want those, then we would have to go to the drawing board, which would mean the priority, we'd have to move the timeline up pretty quick. But if we had some plans in place, she may work with us. I kind of got that feel.
She being DEQ?
DEQ. My representative is Kathy Rhodes. I deal with her quite often. Extremely helpful. I'm more than happy to come out and discuss all of them in even more further. But like I said, I don't want to get, it gets real confusing. It's a lot of stuff right away that we haven't chatted.
Well, I appreciate the overview. I know council has some questions. I know,
Yeah,
Councilor
I do.
Corr, I think you had.
Just tipping fees transferred to the customer, I take it? Maybe depending upon how high?
I'd have to kind of run the numbers and see. To be completely honest, I don't know how much it would affect.
Okay.
Right now, I believe we're at $48 a ton for food waste, or for green waste. I know food waste originally, it was upwards of like 80.
Yeah.
So there is some significant there. We take a lot of weight to PRC. It's just all heavy
Okay.
material. So that thing, that's what I'm trying to check on. But I'm hoping that those numbers of contamination, and I don't know what that means, because if they're accepting it already, I don't know how they do their numbers, but I've made 3 or 4 phone
Okay.
calls. And
There's a
we-
possibility.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a possibility,
Okay.
yeah.
When you find something in a recycling bin that shouldn't be in there, do you communicate that to the resident in any way?
Yes, we have stickers that we put on carts that
Okay.
tend to make people extremely frustrated that they're on the cart, which I understand. We will make note of it and try to reach out to as many as we can from the office, but we can't catch everything.
Yeah.
Kind of how it's been done is a little bit more of a, I don't know, let's say a random check, if the lid's open. I mean, a 95-gallon every other week should be a sufficient size for what is acceptable nowadays.
Yeah.
Where things get a little crazy is cardboard, but I would encourage nobody put cardboard in there. From my side and from a rates perspective, when you put it into commingle, that weight is a commingle price. So when we were paying $126 a ton, most of that weight is more paper, or wet cardboard. If it's self-separated and put to the recycling center, there is there's some income there. I don't know about profit, but some income there with that material. So if, with Amazon and that being more popular, they fill up pretty quick.
Yeah.
So that's where the issue is, but constant offenders, we tend to probably look at a little bit closer and try to have those conversations. It gets really hard. There's always blame put on somebody else. We kind of just try to do our best to present them with the information.
Last question I have for you, Josh. What services are you not offering the community that you think the community needs or wants?
Good question.
Can I follow up with that? Because I think I'll help you direct a little bit. When are we going to get numbered plastic recycling back?
So this is a great question. I'm going to have to slide with it. So starting here very soon in 2023, all recycling requirements across the state will exactly be the same. Does not matter if it's Portland, if it's Independence, if it's Corvallis, we will all have the exact same thing, and which will be extremely helpful for me because, it's always, well, I lived here and they took this, and sometimes we have different processes and they can only take whatever. And with that, the numbers thing, unfortunately, was created by the creators of plastic. That had nothing to do with a hauler, nothing to do with waste management, not at all. It was basically an insanely effective and creative marketing ploy by the plastic companies, and they mean nothing. However, Oregon specifically is trying very hard to get that as effective way of recycling and using, and they're trying to figure that out now. I'm not quite sure on the timeline, but that would be very helpful. The other thing that Oregon is doing, which is, it's expanded, it'd be great to hear Kathy talk about this, but what they're doing is, in this whole emphasis on recycling, they are now pushing, I'm going to call them fees, I don't know if that's the right word, to the producer of the material. So now they have to pay into a company, I can't remember the name. Do you remember the name off your top of your head? No, it was in-state ones. But basically what they're trying to do is, if you want to sell your product, I mean, it's out of state, but you have a higher rate here, but if you want to sell your product and it doesn't meet our standards, or even if it has to meet the standards, and you still have to pay in to this effective fund, that fund statewide is going to be reached out to education programs. And where they're really focusing on at the beginning is smaller communities that don't have recycling currently. And so they're going to do, basically next year, DEQ is going to reach out to all those communities and see what they can to get those smaller communities into recycling. So there's some really good things happening. It's just the timeline is just kind of slowly moving.
But large item pickups, other than in a skip, because I know I've gotten a skip from you before to put stuff in, you drop it off, you come back and pick it up whenever I
So
want you
any
to.
large item
Yeah,
material
yeah.
in general for waste. Yeah, so this leads me into, basically, I haven't marketed at all because we were working out the kinks, but we have an app on any smartphone right now. You can also access it on our website. It's called Recollect, or Recollect, I'm not quite sure how they want me to pronounce it. But inside that app, you just have to search for Branch Sanitary Service. You can do it on our website. There's a widget right in the middle on the homepage. You can actually get on that, and it provides, I want to make sure I get all the things that it does, because I always forget them. If you have service, you just put in your address. If you're just starting service, though, and it's unrecognized, it takes 24 hours for it to be recognized. So if you don't have service, don't panic. If you do get service, you reach out. In this, you can set up reminders, notifications. There's a calendar that tells you whether it's yard debris, recycling week, what to go out, what not to have out. It has a waste widget wizard that allows, there's about 2,000 pre-entered materials that you can literally search up. You could search TV, and it'll tell you where that should be put, where it should be recycled for that. If you write in styrofoam, it will tell you to put it in as garbage. And then if you have something that doesn't pop up, it actually allows you to reach out to me and that company to make sure it gets into the worldwide database so that it makes it easier for us to collect all those materials and make sure we give the appropriate information. And then with that, you can also start service, pay your bill, which has been fabulous. We went from not being able to pay our bill online to now you can do it online, auto pay, and on an app, which is great. I think a lot of people enjoy that. And then last but not least, it's a special pickup. So we actually do a lot of this already. For instance, what I consider a large pickup is a couch. It can be anything. It can be a small kid pool to a water bed to, I've done pianos. Alls that is there's basically maybe 25 items on there that we have written out at a cost. We present that cost, and then if we don't have it on there, then we kind of have that conversation with the customer. What's the weight of it? Does it take two guys to throw it away? And we do our best to kind of come to an agreement on what that product should be.
Additional questions from council. Councilor Takis.
Yeah, you were talking about the mandated programs. I assume that you'd be relying on the city to enforce those?
Correct, so those actually completely fall on the city. That would
Yeah.
be the city, I would help with that if asked, but those would all
But,
be,
checking on contractors and that sort of thing, that would be the city that would be
that would
checking all
all
that
be
stuff out.
city. Yep, I guess unless you put it in my ordinance that I had to do it, but that would be more of a city-based program, which, I think that's somewhere we could get. They have a 2025 goal of having about 52, it might be 55, I apologize, percent recovery rate. Oregon was, I believe, at 45 or 46, excuse me, and then we were at 48%. So that's pretty good. We got a few more years to get there, but I think as communities grow, those programs present themselves a little bit easier. Right now, in particular with the construction one, it would be great to have that monitored a bit more. There's a lot of material that is going that could be recycled, which would affect our numbers. But that's obviously with the growth of both communities right now, that'd be quite the program to get into place.
Are there other burning questions? Because I think what's going to happen here is that I know that our city manager has been in conversation because it makes it a lot easier if we are joined at the hip on this with our sister city. And so I'm going to guess that staff is going to be bringing back some conversations, and this is not going to be the only time we're going to be talking about this. Does that sound okay with everybody?
Very
Sound
good.
okay, Staff Chief? Great. Thank you for taking the time to come in and visit with us.
I love to chat.
We appreciate it, and I'm sure we're going to have more conversations. You're going to be working with folks, and we'll move forward to reduce, reuse, and recycle.
Great, thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Thank you
Thanks.
very much. So I'm going to continue moving forward on the mayor's report. In your packet, you have an appointment, application for the museum advisory.
And I would heartily recommend Nikki Marizani and would move to have her be appointed to the museum committee.
Second?
Museum board.
Motion second, discussion. All in favor signify by saying.
I have a question.
Okay.
Yes, Councilor Roden.
What is our code on having someone outside of the city on this board?
As long as we have, I checked with Karen Johnson, and she said as long as more than half of the people that are on the board are independence folks, that it's okay.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed. Counselor Roden, was that an aye?
That's an aye.
Thank you, appreciate that. Under my report, I have a number of things to point out. We had an event for Kenna West, our new city manager, who's sitting in the back of the room tonight to just watch and listen. She had a chance to meet with the staff in a coffee and donut event week and a bit ago here, and they got a chance to visit. Mayor Kuntz and I have met with a climate group, and they are going to be putting together a series of educational presentations for consumers about environmentally sound ways that make good sense for consumers. So they'll be putting those together, and as things come together, I'll share more with you. As you have been heard before, I'm part of the League of Oregon Cities working on a statewide strategic plan, and there are 12 of us working on that. I'm also working on the Oregon Mayors Association Conference, and as a past president of both those organizations, I've had an opportunity to do that. On Monday, Chief Mason, Councilor Roden, and I attended this week's homeless group meeting where we had Polk Behavioral Health, Family Promise, Polk County Resources, and Polk County school-based mental health make presentations. There are about 50 people involved with this as we're gathering information, and it was very encouraging to hear the resources that are available in the county. They're all out there, but they're not coordinated and consolidated. Well, I don't want to say consolidated, but there's no one person knows all the parts that are going on, and it was to me very encouraging of what the opportunities are. And again, as we've said before, this is a rural approach, and folks know who many of the folks that are homeless that are seen by name. So I'm encouraged, and the charge is to come up with a 5-year plan, and we have to move pretty promptly. So just continuing on. Cease Kuntz and I and some other folks in the community meeting with West Valley and Salem Health about expanding health care in our region. West Valley, which is owned by Salem Health, they're looking to expand resources and health care in the region, and so they're talking to folks. I got a chance to help with the postal food drive recently, and yes, I get my fitness activity, loading and carrying and lifting and moving things, and so it's a fun thing to do. And a micro bit of ego in the League of Oregon Cities newsletter. There is an article that I penned that talks about Ukraine, mayors and cities, and the things we should think about. So I'm very proud that they asked me to write something and implement. So that's what I have. And I'm going to move it forward to Councilor Liaison reports and Councilor Joe, or should I say Grandma?
Nana.
Nana. On behalf of all of us, congratulations on the birth of your granddaughter.
Thank you. Very excited. She's very cute. She has a lot of hair. Okay, Historic Preservation. They're going to be doing the Historic Preservation Award again this year. They also went over the zoning change for the old library and the Women's Club. That we here at City Council did. And then there was a comment made that one of the homes in the historic district is not following guidelines, but they didn't say they were going to do anything about it. But 555 Monmouth wasn't doing everything that they had asked them to do. And then the next meeting has been moved from the 20th to the 13th instead.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate the succinct report. Councilor Court, Independence Days.
Yeah.
My goodness, here it comes.
Time to get excited. I want to start out by saying that everything's a little bit ahead of schedule. The full entertainment roster's done. Talent show contestants are starting to trickle in, and you should start seeing promotions for the event this week. We had a meeting on the 12th. We had a finance subcommittee meeting on the 19th. We have another meeting this week. I think we're meeting twice a month for the rest of my life. The price of wristbands is going to be $5 a piece. That's a significant increase. I know that's going to get some pushback and some concern from the residents, but we have had no income for the past 2 years. The price of fireworks has gone up exponentially. The price of entertainment support has gone up. I imagine we're going to find out security's gone up as well. It's just something we have to deal with. We are looking at discounted rates. We're trying to figure out ways to help families out. There will be some freebie giveaways, so pay attention to the Facebook page and look for things as they come up. Courtney is going to be posting stuff as quickly as possible there. All the wristbands are going to be sold within city entities, with the exception of Independence Cinema and the Independence Hotel will be selling. Reason why is they've got a broader hour span, so people can get to them and get wristbands. City Hall will be doing credit card sales on wristbands. That's something that residents have asked for quite a while. The library and the museum will also be doing sales. There's going to be a pop-up tent 3 Saturdays in June, the 11th, the 18th, and the 25th. We're going to be doing 2 shifts of wristband sales in Central Plaza. If you remember where the Hawaiian food truck used to be, across from McDonald's in Central Plaza, that's where we're going to be. It's going to be drive-through. We're going to work with, probably going to get some cones from Public Works and work out some drive-through lanes or whatever. So make that really easy for folks, and I think that will be very helpful for residents in Monmouth, so they don't have to come all the way downtown here to get stuff. So look for that. But most importantly, start looking for the promotions on Facebook and other social media, and please amplify it as much as you can. And I know Marilyn's going to be out of town, so won't be able to help out. Councilor Martin Willis was gracious enough to volunteer to help out with the pop-up tent, so we are looking for the other councilors to sign up and help out in some way, shape, or form.
Is there an age where they're free?
5 and under, thank you.
5 and under.
Yes, 5 and
And
under.
if I can just quickly add, that pop-up tent is a great opportunity if you're going to be out of town the weekend of the 4th. It's those 3 Saturdays, and you can do 10 to 2 or 2 to 6. So I'm even bringing a friend from out of town. to
And I'll
join.
let's schedule. I will help also.
Okay.
I will too, Shannon, for the days that I'm home.
Okay, we have 2 shifts left, so if you both want to take those 2 shifts, we'll be good with the pop-up.
Well, yeah, without my calendar in front of me, I don't know what I'm doing.
I know
yet.
you have to walk from Western, so you've got work ahead of you.
I want to just take a moment, as a person who has both been in charge of the Independence Day celebration and been intimately involved over a number of different years in capacity. I just want to just say on behalf of myself, and I think everybody who's ever done it, how much we appreciate your personal involvement, because I know you've got a boatload of other things that you're doing also, and also the whole committee for the work that you're doing. And I'm excited about the direction of the 4th of July and how it's good stuff. And I just want to say thank you.
It's been a huge thank you. It's been a huge help to have city staff so involved. Huge help.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Chief Mason, I think it's your turn. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. Well, I was scrambling to try to find the web address for where you sign up to volunteer for the event instead of where you sign up to volunteer for just selling wristbands. And I happen to know Ramon's in the room. So is it independencedays.org?
Yeah, you can sign up on the Indie Days website itself, dedicated website, but you also go to the city website and you just search in the top right search button, search bar, Indie Days, you'll be able to find it there as well.
So I was informed that our signups for all of the open volunteer positions could still use volunteers. So if anybody is really looking to volunteer, we also need people for the event, and we need to spread that word because there's a lot of vacancies. And that was an add-on to my report. That wasn't on there until now. So the first thing I had was signs. So we have some new signs, including a beautiful new sign with the correct logo here in your council chambers that you'll have to check out if you walked by it and didn't notice it on your way in. We also got new population signs because our population has increased, and Tree City USA year signs. All of those should be going up this week. MyNet budget. Last week we had the MyNet budget committee meeting, and it approved pretty quickly. And the word there is that they are very fiscally strong and still planning to make all of their own debt payments this year for the first time. And you can give a woohoo there if you'd like. Perfect. The pool is going to be opening, and we are not going to be utilizing the pool house this year. It's going to be outdoor facilities, so we'll have a shower and restrooms that will be available, but going to be outdoor because of the condition of the pool house. So it is opening on schedule. YMCA has worked out all the details. It just won't have the structure that we're accustomed to because it's not in a condition that we should be using it. Good there? I did receive some questions this week about how we can minimize the impact of unhoused people on our streets, especially in the downtown, from some council people. And I wanted to share that we are planning to have a presentation from our attorney on the June 28th meeting to educate all of us on what the rules and the different things that we could do if we wanted to, and what we would have to do in order to do them. Kind of the easiest way to say it. And our new city manager, Kenna, is going to be with us that day and wanted to be present for the discussion.
Chief, could you talk a little bit about what the concerns are?
The concerns, yeah. So we have had some more visible people in beauty strips downtown, and we got complaints both from council and from some realtors that were trying to show places, and they're coming to Independence to get away from Salem. And as they come in and see that, it was immediately commented that this is what they're trying to get away from. And I mean, we know the situation, but an immediate response from people coming in drew concern. So that was the main thing that I got as concerns.
I would just urge compassion.
Yeah. Our stage went into Riverview Park today. And just a reminder, our summer season events are kicking off June 4th and 5th with the National Psoriasis Bike Ride. And then in late June, we have Cycle Oregon's Joyride. And then, of course, Independence Days is July 2 through 4. So event season's going to be on us quickly. They got that stage in place before Memorial Day so that they don't have to rush to do it before that first event on June 4th. An update on safe routes to school and the project at Gun Club in Hoffman. There was a meeting on site last week, and they still need to acquire some right-of-way, and it continues to move forward. And if you want more than that, Gerald's in the room. Anything else, Gerald? Okay. And the last thing I had, the sports park consultant, Charles Johnson, was in town a couple of weeks ago doing interviews with key collaborators and touring the area. They also had a follow-up Zoom meeting with the Parks and Rec Commission on Thursday, and that consultant plans to conclude his work in July.
Great.
That's all I have unless there's questions.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, moving forward, just to make sure that everybody knows that we've delayed the public hearing on development code amendments for commercial and industrial allowed uses. That's going to be moved to the June 14th meeting. So the next item is landscape maintenance contract for Mr. Fisher. Good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, members of the City Council. So this year we ended a 5-year contract with Venegas Contracting. The original contract could be renewed every year for up to 5 years. So with the end of the contract, we had to rebid out the project. We sent it out to quite a few local area landscaping companies. We received a total of 4 back. Venegas was the lowest responsible bidder at $109,622. Unfortunately, that amount is above our next year's city budget. So we met with Venegas, and they agreed to, in this upcoming fiscal year, to sign the contract in a not-to-exceed amount of $67,000, with every subsequent year after that to be up to the bid amount. And we're asking council to approve or authorize city manager to execute that contract.
How can we approve it when we haven't approved the budget yet?
I think that's implied that we're going to.
We will?
Yes. Is everybody, any questions?
Do they have an explanation for why it jumped up so much? Is it
Costs.
any particular cost, or is
No,
everything?
across the board. Their costs have actually been low for about the past 5 years. So this is actually catching up, and a lot of the other companies were almost twice.
Yeah,
the
I
amount.
noticed that.
Yeah, it's cost of fuel, cost of labor, cost of everything.
Okay.
I have a question too.
Councilor Roden?
Does this service cover all City of Independence public lands, including parks, the sports fields, our buildings, and everything in that?
It covers the City Hall property, the museum, and all of our parks.
And the sports complex?
Yes. You're talking about the soccer field? Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Thank you. This isn't,
It's just to mow the lawn, though.
They do mowing, they do brush trimming,
Okay.
they make everything look
But they don't
nice.
do anything to maintain a field necessarily for playing ball.
No, it's
Just running
just
through-
general mowing.
Okay.
okay. Someone would like to, I think we want our grass cut. I don't have enough gas in my mower, well, my new electric mower. I don't have enough battery or a long enough cord. So someone please save us.
I'll move to accept the proposal for landscape maintenance service in the not-to-exceed amount of $67,000 and authorize the interim city manager to execute the contract.
And I'll second
I have a
that.
motion and a second. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Counselor Roden?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much. Chief Mason, to you.
Council, Mayor, the next item on the agenda is discussion of municipal traffic authority. Currently, it is all assigned, that authority to city council exclusively. The powers and duties are not being exercised in full conformance with our municipal code. And to streamline procedures and better reflect actual city practices, tonight you're being asked to consider to delegate your municipal traffic authority to the city manager or designee as authorized by the municipal code 32-26. As background, the code gives the city council all traffic authority, and the powers require many traffic authority actions to be undertaken by resolution specifically. This requirement is impractical and is currently not being followed. Streets are being constructed, traffic control measures applied, and those things aren't coming to council for action at this time. Adding another step in city land use procedures by requiring roads and traffic control devices to be approved by council resolution would only delay and unnecessarily complexity to project reviews. Because of this, staff requests that the city council delegate its authority to the city manager or designee. Such a delegation would allow city traffic decisions to continue to be made by staff based upon the Oregon Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices for Streets and Highways, ODOT and Public Works design standards, and engineering judgment, fire codes, and other sections of city code. Questions?
Questions for,
I'd just like to make a comment. I think this is a good move, and I realize it is more in the nature of housekeeping because it is something that we don't follow now. It would be cumbersome. We do have a traffic safety commission, we have a planning commission, and we have an excellent staff to administer these things. And so I'm very much in favor of this change.
I do have a quick question. I'm going to guess that any significant changes that were being made would at least come to us as information.
I think that's safe to assume. I would also say that things of a controversial nature, say somebody wants a loading zone to take away some parking, those are coming back to you as well.
Okay.
We're going to want that to have a process attached to it.
Okay. Then in that case, I would make a motion to approve resolution number 22-1561 to delegate municipal traffic authority to the city manager or designee.
Second.
I have a motion and a second by Core. Is there discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That was an aye by Counselor Roden. Okay, motion's approved. Thank you very much. Announcements. Anybody have any announcements they need to make?
I do.
Please do.
Windermere Willamette Valley is doing a food drive for the Ella Crayon Food Bank. We need to get in touch to see exactly what they need. But it is for our community service day. That's what we chose. So I think it is the first Saturday or the second Saturday. But we're going to put flyers up and stuff. So
Great. appreciate it. Any other announcements? Just so everyone, and we have Budget Committee tomorrow night, so, you know, councilors and Budget Committee, we'll see each other again in less than 24 hours. So somebody would say the word adjourned.
Move to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yay. Have a pleasant evening. Good night.